Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a little bit of get it ready with me, and that just because I feel like, you know, everything's been just a little dead everywhere because of what is going on in the world. And I don't know about everyone else, but I've been listening to a lot of story times and a lot of chit chats. It just gets me through the day. I just feel like I connect with it better than makeup videos, just watching any other type of videos. I just feel like I've been connecting more to like story times and chit chats. So I thought maybe I will do it and see if anybody else feels this way. Before I do anything else, I'm going to use some setting spray. I saw that this makeup artist had said that using setting spray before you put on your primer and foundation makes your makeup look better, and I've been doing that lately and it's really true. Today I'm going to be doing a story time while I do my makeup. I've already started my makeup. I apologize that you didn't get to see all that, but at least it cuts a little bit of the video. So I was trying to find like what story I can actually remember, because I think if you've been a subscriber, you know that a lot of my, like, I have ADD and I say it all the time and I am very forgetful, so it's really hard for me to tell stories. But I think because right now during COVID, a lot of people are, or quarantine, COVID, whatever you want to call it, a lot of people are trying to find ways of saving money. And I've been seeing a lot of people renting out rooms. So it kind of reminded me of the time when we were living with my husband's uncle. He lived with us for a while, and honestly, he lived with us twice, and I don't know why we lived with him twice. Because the first time he burnt us, and we had to move to a different place, so I have no idea why we let him live with us again. I feel like a lot of the things that I was doing when I was younger, I was pushed towards doing because I don't even remember even wanting him to live with us, honestly. Like, he burnt us the first time, so I don't even know why. Anyway, we decided to rent a house, and he was renting one of the rooms. My husband is the one that made the whole arrangements with him. So honestly, I wasn't even on the lease. It was just them two. And honestly, I don't even know how they were doing the bills. I don't know how everything was split. I don't know. All I knew was that I was giving him some of the money for the rent. I was giving him money for electricity, gas, you know, just utilities in general. Well, I guess we ended up getting notice that things were being past due. Things were going to get shut off, like electricity was going to get shut off. And that's when we ended up finding out that he wasn't paying the bills. We were giving him the money, but he wasn't paying the bills. So we stopped giving him the money and we started paying towards it ourselves instead of actually giving him the cash. But I mean, we had to work with the landlord to stay in that house because he wasn't paying the rent. So we didn't end up finding out until the guy came over and he talked to us and he told us everything that was going on, and we didn't know. So obviously, like, you know, he was very understanding, so thank God. So because he was understanding, we were able to stay there, and it was just me and my husband. His uncle had to move out at the time. And then when we came back from Texas, we lived in Texas for a little while, and then when we came back to California, we ended up letting him live with us again to save money because I had gone back to school. And we let him stay there and rent a room. And at first, everything was good. Like, he was helping out with bringing food from Salvation Army. He was very clean, so he would always like cut the grass, help clean the house. He was just very helpful. Like he was paying his half, and it wasn't even half because he was a single guy. We were a family. Like by this time, I already had my 3 kids, and we just needed help while I went back to school. And he needed help. Obviously, he was a single guy, so, or he is still a single guy. So he needed help, so we were helping each other. So at first, everything was good, but then it's like everything started changing. Like he started kind of taking advantage of the fact that my husband was making good money. And again, he was making good money, but I wasn't making any money. I was in school trying to get my certificate, so I wasn't bringing in any money. So my husband was doing it all for his family. So that's the reason we let him stay there so that he could help us. And he took advantage of that, and he stopped paying his portion, not all of it, but like he would pay late. He would never have rent or bills. Actually, he wasn't even paying for the bills. We only charged him for the room, so we were paying like rent and utilities and food. I mean, he was helping out with some of the food that he would bring from Salvation Army, but I mean, it wasn't full groceries. I was paying like full groceries with my husband's money, obviously. Um, Actually, you know what? I was getting unemployment at the time too. I was getting a little bit of unemployment because I had just gotten out of the military, so I was able to claim unemployment and go to school. So I was bringing in some type of money in. So I think it's just the fact that he saw that like we were both bringing in money. He didn't feel like he needed to contribute, or he just got tired. I don't know what was going on with him, but he stopped helping out, and we weren't charging him a lot. We were charging him like maybe like 350, maybe $400, and he had a huge room. He, he didn't pay electricity, internet, cable, gas. And if you're from California, you know that, electricity is really expensive. Our electric bill was getting high from the point that he moved in. Like at first it was like 200 and something dollars, then it started being 300 and something dollars. And it just gradually started increasing. And then, he just started being disrespectful too. He started bringing like women around our house. He's a single guy, which whatever, he can do what he wants. But the problem is he was bringing them to my house where my kids were. And I didn't want them to think that it was okay. Like I wouldn't expose them to that if it was me, or, if me and my husband separated, we wouldn't expose them to that. We always communicated about things that we were okay with and we weren't okay with. So we always said we would never do that if we separated. We were never bringing all sorts of people around them. So the fact that the uncle was doing it, I kind of felt like it was kind of the same thing. Like, you're bringing all these women to our home, take them to his room, do whatever he had to do. And it's just, you're in a family environment, there's things that you don't do. And he just had no respect. At first I didn't say anything. At first I stayed quiet and just let everything happen. I kind of felt like it wasn't my place to be saying anything. And I just thought like we were staying at my husband's mom's house. We were renting that home. It was a 4-bedroom. We were renting that house, so I kind of felt like I couldn't really say anything because it was her brother. So I kind of just sucked it up for a while. And it's funny because one of the times that he brought this one girl, my dog started barking at her, and my dog never barks. My dog, like, if we hear her barking, we're like, who is that? Like, we don't even know her bark. So when she started barking at her, we're all surprised. We're like, what the heck? Like, was that Mimsy? That's her name. Was that Mimsy barking? And that's the first and only time I've ever heard her bark. She never barks at anything. Even right now, like, if an intruder came into my house, she wouldn't even bark. Like, she'll just be like, hey, who are you? Like, she'll just stand there. Like, she never barks. So it was really weird to hear her bark. So that happened with the first girl. The second girl that he brought over ended up being a girl I met while I was pregnant. She was my husband's coworker's wife. I met her while I was pregnant. We hung out at birthday parties, at barbecues. This coworker was a really close friend of the family. My husband was really close to him. So when my husband's uncle brought this girl to the house, it was really weird. Like, I didn't know how to behave because number one, she had 5 kids with my husband's coworker. So it was weird. I didn't know how to behave. I had questions, obviously. Like, it's none of my business, but I had questions. Like, is she still with him? Is she cheating on him? Or are they separated and she's just doing whatever she was doing? But even if she was, like, that was my husband's coworker, friend of the family. Like, she shouldn't have gotten with my husband's uncle because they were friends too. Like, it's just something you don't do. So I didn't know how to behave. I felt very awkward. Um, I knew the situation wasn't okay, so I don't know. I know it's none of my business, but at the same time, I didn't know how to behave. And all of a sudden, she just didn't go home. She was there for like 2 weeks. Actually more than 2 weeks. She was there for a couple of weeks. She started staying there every night. Like, she just came over and it was that awkward introduction. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I know you. But then she didn't leave. She was just there every day. Like, I would wake up, get the kids ready for school, and she was there. She would come into the bathroom that I was doing my daughter's hair in, the hallway bathroom. And she'd be like, can I use your hair straightener? Can I use your hair curling iron? I'm just like, sure. And honestly, I don't know why I'm like this, but I don't like sharing. I I'm not a sharer. I was that kid that kind of grew up alone for the first 10 years. My little brother is 8 years older, or my little brother's 8 years younger than me, so I grew up alone for a while. So I was very spoiled. I was the first kid, the first grandkid, the first niece. So I was very spoiled when I was a kid. So I don't know, I just have a hard time sharing, and her asking for my stuff all the time, it was really hard for me. And I didn't want to be rude, so I would let her, but at the same time, I didn't want to let her. Um, so those couple of weeks were really awkward. I felt weird and uncomfortable in my own house. But then I guess she did something crazy. Like, I think she threw I don't know. From his story, he said that she threw a fork at him or something. She threw a fork and hit him in the chest or something during a fight, and I guess that kind of made it to where, like, they ended up not seeing each other anymore. So I guess he dodged a bullet there. But right after that, he brought another girl home. This girl stayed a lot longer than the first one, and this one was more awkward because this one I really didn't know. Complete stranger. Brought her home one night, like, hey, what's up? Took her straight to her room, or to his room, and then she just didn't leave. She was there for like a month and a half, or I don't even know, honestly. It was so long. But by that time, I was already getting frustrated because, again, like I said, he was bringing people home all the time, women home all the time. I mean, one time he even brought like two girls in one day. It was my daughter's birthday, and we were all celebrating, you know, blowing out the candles in the kitchen. And he walks in late and brings two females into his room during that time. And then I guess he asked my husband if it was okay if he could use or have some of the Jaeger that we had in the freezer. We had bought it, my husband and I. Actually, no. I think, did he buy it? I don't remember if he bought it or if he was gifted that bottle. But it was really expensive. It was a tall bottle and it's expensive. And I guess he asked if he could have a little bit while he had those girls there. And my husband said, yeah, he could have a little while. A little bit, a while. He could have a little bit. And we ended up seeing that he ended up drinking the whole bottle. By that time, like I said, my husband was already getting frustrated. I was getting frustrated of certain things that were happening. Like I said, he wasn't paying his rent on time. He wasn't paying any extra bills. I don't even know if he was working because he would sleep during the day. He was bringing all these females home. And then that day, he drank all our Jaeger. He drank it all. Like, we said he could have some, but not all of it. And then when my husband confronted him and told him, like, hey, like, we said he could have some, not all of it. You know, you need to replace that. So he goes to the store and he buys the smallest, cheapest bottle. You know, like, that's gonna replace the big old expensive bottle that he already used. So that had happened. So by the time he brings this other girl that stayed for like a month and a half, like, we are already on edge. So I feel like we were already irritated. We were keeping things to ourselves. You know, we were irritated. We weren't really speaking about like what was going on. We were just, my husband was irritated. I was irritated. So every little thing that they were doing was irritating me. They ended up installing some type of cooler in his room, even though we have AC or had AC. And they had that cooler going on all summer. And I think she ended up staying like 2, 3 months because it was during the summertime. Summertime in California is no joke. The electricity bill was high. Like, I was paying 6, 7, I think one of the times it was like $800 on electricity. It was a lot of money. So, I mean, you gotta remember, he moved in so that way he could help us. And at this time, he wasn't helping us anymore. Like, that was costing us. Like, not only are you paying, you're not paying full rent. You're not paying rent on time. You're not paying any bills. You're not contributing to the food. Like, we were paying for everything. So on top of that, then you're gonna spike up the bill on the electricity. I was on edge. I had bought a coffee maker and they were using my coffee maker, and there was, when he wasn't there, when he would leave to do some jobs, she ended up using my coffee maker and spilt coffee all over the counter and then just left it there. Like, who's gonna clean it? You made that mess. Who's gonna clean it? She just left that mess right there. And I ended up texting him and I told him, like, hey, like, I'm not cleaning that. Like, she made that mess. Either tell her to clean it up or you clean it up, but somebody has to clean it up. And then I told him if they weren't going to clean up after themselves, then you can't use my coffee maker. And it wasn't a Keurig or anything. I mean, this was like 2014, so it was like a cheap, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much it costs. The problem is the fact that they weren't cleaning up after themselves. Not just that, the bathroom was really nasty. She ended up having her period during this time, and I don't know about anybody else, but like, for us girls, like, when we have our period when whoever has period in the house, like we make sure to take out the trash like constantly, because first of all, I'm not letting the boys touch all that stuff. It's our mess. Like we clean up ourselves. So me and my daughter, we'll like throw out our own trash when we are on our periods. We're I've explained to her that like we need to make sure to shower more because just you feel gross and it's just I don't know. Just we try to be more cleaner. And this girl, she was not clean at all. Like she was leaving her pads like just laying right there in the bathroom, dirty pads. I had kids, or I have kids. Like they were little, like they were in elementary, and you're leaving all this mess for my kids to see. My kids were using that hallway bathroom, so it was really hard for me to have to deal with all that. And I'm not cleaning the bathroom. They wouldn't clean the bathroom. They're the ones that mainly use the bathroom. Like it started like after that happened, I started having my kids use the bathroom in my room. My room was a bedroom that had its own bathroom. So I ended up having my kids use my bathroom more than they used the hallway bathroom because of that incident. So after that happened, the bathroom was not getting cleaned at all. Like the bathroom was such a mess and they were the ones using it. The shower wasn't clean, the bathroom wasn't, the toilet, all that area wasn't clean. And it was starting to get embarrassing. Like if I had anybody over, it was really embarrassing having to have a nasty ass bathroom that I would have to have guests use. That's the hallway bathroom. And sometimes, if it was like my best friend or someone close to me, I would have them use my bathroom. But I mean, I shouldn't have to. I have a guest bathroom for a reason. So I ended up telling them that they needed to make sure to have that bathroom clean because if they're using it, like, you need to have it clean. So, yeah, that was one of the incidents. There was another time where I had invited my husband's cousin over. She was dealing with a lot of stuff with her baby daddy, and she needed someone to talk to, so I ended up telling her to come over. I ordered pizza. It was Friday night. Usually we have this tradition where we'll have Friday night and a movie. Pizza and a movie on Fridays. So I ended up inviting her over. I told her we're having pizza and a movie. And this girl that the uncle had brought, she had been sleeping all day. All day. She didn't do nothing but sleep all day. That's all she did. So she ended up coming out during our conversation and asking if she could have some pizza. And obviously, like, I'm not going to say no. I'm not mean. I'm not going to say no. So I let her have some pizza, but it was just so awkward because obviously, like, my husband's cousin was like, who's that? And I'm like, oh, that's just, the uncle's side, whatever she is. I don't, because I mean, it's not like they were in a relationship. He had women all the time, different women all the time, so it's not like they were in a relationship. But she had, she had been sleeping all day, so she just looked all messy and just, she didn't say, like, I don't know, she was so weird. Like, she came out, she's like, can I have some pizza? And I'm like, yeah. And then she just came out, like, all raggedy, and then she, like, came, grabbed it, and just, like, left. And we were just, like, that was weird. It was just an awkward situation. I don't know. You had to be there. I know it doesn't sound awkward, but it was a really awkward situation. So, like I said, she had stayed there for a long time, and we were already in our boiling point. So, also what I haven't mentioned is that they would fight all the time. They would have these big blowouts and a lot of yelling, and I would have to put my kids into my room. My room was all the way in the back, so you couldn't really hear anything back there. And I had to put my kids over there so that way they wouldn't hear them screaming because, like by that point, my husband and I were a little older, more matured. We didn't really fight as much like that, and we would not blowouts like that. We wouldn't have blowouts like that. So I didn't want my kids to be exposed to all that. So we would take them to the back. And this night specifically, like, it got to be too much. So she started yelling. They were screaming. I could hear banging in the room. It looked like it was becoming a toxic, I don't even want to say relationship, whatever they were going through, it was becoming very toxic. So I ended up telling my husband to please, like, go find out what was going on. Please, like, try to fix the situation. Because, again, I don't want my kids to be dealing with all this, like, hearing all this mess. So, you know, I told my husband to try to fix the situation. And it was taking him a little while. And I think I started hearing him screaming at some point. And I didn't mention this, but my mom was also staying in another room. It wasn't even a room. It was like an office type space that we ended up converting into a room so that way we could help my mom. My mom was going through depression during that year too. So I ended up having to help her also to stay at my house. And even my mom was helping, like, giving us some money at that time. Because again, like I said, like, the rent in California is no joke. Like, the rent in California is expensive. Electricity is expensive. Food, internet, TV, like, everything was expensive. We have 3 kids. Then we're paying for everything for the kids. Like, it was expensive. So my mom, like, she kind of saw that he wasn't helping out. So she stepped up and started giving us money, even through her depression. So anyway, that night she was there, and we take the kids to the room where she was. I walked over there and I put the kids in there, and I told her to please put the volume up on the TV so that way they wouldn't hear my husband screaming, or they wouldn't hear any of the commotion that was going on. And then I went to go find out what was going on once I hear my husband was yelling. And I go in there, and he had already, I guess, he was already on his breaking point. He was going to, I think, like, them sitting there causing this big drama, like, it was his breaking point. So he was really mad, like, the veins were popping out. I was like, you know what, I need to, like, de-escalate the situation. So I started kind of, like, you know, patting him on the chest. I'm like, babe, it's okay, like, why don't we go outside, let's get some air. So I kind of just started pulling him out, and I took him out and I told him, why don't you have a cigarette? Because at that time he was smoking cigarettes, and I'm like, why don't you have a cigarette, like, chill out, smoke. And then I just let him vent because he was already pissed off about the whole situation. I just let him vent, and they came out, and my camera cut off. He ended up taking the girl somewhere, I don't know where. He took her somewhere else, and that was the last time she was there. All it had to take, I guess, was my husband getting upset for her to leave. Because honestly, we never agreed for her to stay there with him. We didn't make any agreements. He was bringing these girls to our house, keeping them in his room without discussing anything with us. Like, if you're 2 people living in that room, at least pay your rent, what you're supposed to be contributing to. He wasn't even paying what he was contributing to, and then he was doing all this. So yeah, it was really hard. After that, like, just things started deteriorating. My husband ended up having a talk with him, and we had to end up kicking him out because it was just too much. You know, like I said, he was bringing all these girls home. We ended up finding out later that he was actually doing drugs and, you know, whatever paraphernalia he had at our house. I didn't know this. My husband had ended up telling me later on. He didn't want to have he didn't want to upset me. He didn't want, like, me to, like, look at him differently. I don't know. He wanted to handle it in the background, so he didn't tell me anything. I ended up finding out actually, like, years later. Seeing a lot of people trying to save money by having someone stay in their home and helping out with the rent, it kind of just reminded me of all this. And, you know, you just kind of have to take into account when someone lives with you. Like, you know, there's rules that need to be set, even if your family, like, sometimes when your family takes advantage of you and your kindness and the fact that you're family, that they don't have to do certain things. So there's rules that need to be set if you're gonna have someone living with you, and we didn't set those boundaries. So I think that's the reason why, you know, everything happened the way it happened. But now to this point, I don't feel like we're just gonna have any families or friends or anybody living with us anymore, because I don't know, I can't deal with other people. Like, you know, when you're a couple, you have to adjust as a couple living together. You know, everybody has their own quirks, everybody has their own way of living. So not only do you have to deal with your spouse, your boyfriend, your partner, roommate, but now like adding more people to the mix, I feel like it's just so hard. So I don't feel like I want to be put in those situations anymore, and I wouldn't have anybody living with me anymore after all of that mess. But anyway, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. I'm not brushing my hair because honestly I'm not really going anywhere. I just did my makeup because it makes me feel better when I'm home, and when I'm messy I just feel all depressed and tired and just, you know. So I decided to do my makeup so that way it can make me feel a little bit more energized and maybe want to do laundry. I don't know. But anyway, don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you next time. Bye!